Welcome back. Today we're tackling chapter 5. This chapter is a bit of a slow burner. It's much like chapter 3 in that it's not exceptionally difficult, just a bit time consuming. It's really quite a simple map. You've got two choices. You can either go over the top and around to the boss, or you can go straight through the gate that you can sort of see a little bit of down the bottom left of the screen right now. The reason I didn't go that route is because upon opening the gate, enemy reinforcements will immediately spawn basically right in front of you, and considering the amount and quality of the reinforcements, I don't think I have any unit save maybe Marcus who could live that sort of onslaught. I figured the safest choice would just be to take the enemies at my own pace by going around the top, and it would give me the chance to feed a bit of experience to some of my lesser used units, just some of my units in general. So this map isn't terribly difficult. I did end up failing it quite a few times, but it was mostly due to negligence. I inevitably would end up leaving weak units where they shouldn't be, and they'd get killed from places I didn't expect. Really good level up from Wade there, by the way. So yeah, the map's not too difficult, I just messed up a few times. But this run I succeeded, obviously, because it's the run that you're seeing. So in this little village, you would have seen a little sneak peek of units that will be joining us next chapter, but I skipped over it too quickly. On the first turn I put Wade on a fort with a hand axe to try to chip these fighters down a little bit. He does, I think, have a chance of death if both of them hit him, but that's incredibly unlikely. Their hit rates are very, very poor, especially because he's on a fort. And it doesn't matter anyway, because a combination of Marcus and Rutger would have killed that one fighter anyway. Solid level up from Rutger there. I got a few decent level ups this chapter actually, so a few of my units come out looking quite a bit stronger by the end of it. With Shanna and the rest of my non-playable units, I'll just be ferrying everybody to a safe spot as per usual. Next chapter we finally get battle preps, so we don't have to deploy all these useless units anymore. So this is the last chapter we have to ferry them around for. Although they do actually come in handy a little bit later in blocking forts, but other than that, they don't really serve a purpose. So at this point, in previous strategies I would be putting Lance where I just put Marcus. But sometimes he would end up dying. Not all the time, but sometimes. And I don't know why it never occurred to me to just put Marcus there instead and let Lance have the fort so he has the defense and the avoid bonus. Marcus doesn't need either of those things, he's plenty tanky, and Lance does need those things because he's not tanky at all. So I made the switch and it worked out for me. Ball's sitting a nice little 50% there. And this is basically where we're going to be chilling for the next few turns until those nomads are dealt with. The nomads are really fast. You would expect them to be fast, I suppose, but they can actually get so fast that Rutger doesn't double them. I didn't purposely reset RNG on this map to get them to a point where Rutger can always double them, because it's not really necessary, it's just kind of nice if you can. But it just goes to show how fast some of the enemies that we fight really are. Rutger is insanely fast for this point in the game, and even he has difficulty doubling some of these enemies. Luckily, not the fighters. So we're going to send Shanna up into the mountains because she's completely safe up there. Get a kill with Wolt and a level up. He actually gets a fantastic level up, basically all the stats you want. And I'm not going to say he's coming along nicely because that strength is still really low and the speed is not particularly impressive, but when you consider what his stats look like in chapter 1, he's come a decent way. And he's not been complete dead weight either. He's gotten a fair few kills here and there and done some decent chip damage. So you see that one bandit down in the mountain to the bottom left of the screen? Sometimes there's two bandits down there. I don't exactly know what causes one of them to go around and the other one to go through the mountain instead of both of them going through the mountain. I imagine it has something to do with the position of my units that are all carrying other units, but I am not entirely sure. I have no idea why. Sorry, I have no idea why specifically one of them will always go and the other one sometimes doesn't. But it doesn't matter a whole lot. It does make it a bit easier if there's only one, because I do have to have a lot of units on the front line to create that blockade, I guess you would call it, to keep the rest of the fighters away from my vulnerable units. So when two of them cross the mountain at the same time, it is kind of difficult to deal with them. But with just one, it's not much of an issue. Here I'm just trying to decide whether or not to start sending people towards that bandit. I want to know what his range is, because I want to deal with him sooner rather than later, but at the same time I don't want to go out of my way to deal with him because he does a lot of damage if he hits. Pretty worthless level up from Lance there. I never like it when I get a multiple stat level up, but it's all stats that don't really matter. I mean, one res, wow, yeah, it's really gonna take you far, Lance. That's alright, whatever. You see, Rutger doesn't even double this nomad, which is what I was talking about. He doubled the one that died earlier, but not this one. Here I tried to get the kill with the Silver Lance. In hindsight, I didn't really need to do that. It wasn't necessary, but it doesn't even hit, so that's that. That's that plan. And we're gonna get a nice little kill with Roy here as well. We're only going to be spending a little bit more time in this formation here as these last few bandits, last few fighters get thinned out. But that's basically the story of this map. It's just create a blockade, wait for them to crash into you, kill them all, move up a bit, repeat the process till you make it to the boss. Later on in the map there will be a significant number of bandit reinforcements, and we're gonna have to sit through those. This is another chapter that you can just sort of leave on in the background if you want to. It's really not complicated. I failed a few times because I'm bad at Fire Emblem, but it's not an intricate chapter by any means. Here we finally kill that nomad. The nomads were the biggest threat. They still are. There's one more on the map that luckily doesn't come after you until you pull him, and you can avoid pulling him. So we do that for as long as possible. Roy gets a crit, which is impressive, and then a level up, which is very not impressive. So that's a very Roy thing to do. Well done, Roy. Here I decide to be a bit ballsy with Wade. I'm just looking at these hit rates and thinking, whatever. And I don't get punished for trying that. No one hits anything, and he actually gets an axe rank out of that, so I guess practice makes perfect, right? You get better when you fail and all that. I don't know, something like that. But that's okay. Now, he is going to get hit by this hand axe. Those hand axes have an incredibly low chance of actually hitting Wade from the fort. I believe it's only about 28%. So for him to get hit there is quite unfortunate, and Rutger got hit there as well. To make up for that, Roy's going to get a 3% crit. Not that that mattered at all. I suppose the last one mattered though. A bit ballsy to do that with Rutger. I think he had a chance of death on that turn. But the hit rates are so low on these axes. I really am not too scared of them. Even if they have the chance to kill me technically, they're not really scary. Now here Wolt fails to get the kill by 2 might, you know, that's... Good job, Wolt. Good job. He will help with the chipping on this lone fighter though. And I decided to go for it with a hand axe, which was really dangerous in hindsight. That's a risk I definitely did not need to take, but it pays off for me. I'm rewarded, and it allows me to move forward a turn earlier than I otherwise would. And I do want to move forward as soon as possible on this map, because once the reinforcements start, they don't stop for a long time, and I really want to be as far ahead in the map as I possibly can be before that happens. So now it's just a matter of moving all my units up to a position I want them to be in before I start pulling these units. That mercenary in the middle of the bushes there doesn't move, but the fighter behind him does, and the fighter behind him has a hand axe, so it's really quite an annoying configuration of units. The devs definitely a bit mean here. Not that their mercenary is too scary. I think he has a blade weapon. I think it's a steel blade. So he's not incredibly scary. But to have to fight essentially two of them at the same time, because that fighter will move basically in front of the mercenary, it's a bit annoying. You'll notice I've left Lot and Deke back, and that's because they're going to occupy these two forts, because reinforcements would come from those forts as well as the forts in front of us as well, unless we block these forts. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. If they're going to be force deployed, then I may as well. Here I leave, I almost called him Oswin. Here I leave Boars in the range of the fighter and technically the mercenary. As I said, the mercenary doesn't move, so I leave him in range of the fighter with the hand axe. Obviously weapon triangle is not going to be on my side, but I only have one unit that has a hand axe, and he's weak and far back, so I'm just going to pull him with a unit that has solid defense and get him close, kill him on the next turn, and begin to move forward. I take that village with Shanna. In hindsight, I didn't need to use a non-playable unit to do that. The village was not in any danger of being destroyed, so I don't really know why I did it with Shanna, but I suppose it's excusable because, unlike in chapter 4, she didn't need to do that. I could have done that with basically anybody. Here Rutger takes an axe to the face. Well done, Rutger. That's fine. And I have just enough might on Lance to get that kill. You see, I only have one use of the Silver Lance left. In basically one chapter of hard use, it's gone. So it's basically useless now. But I mean, hey, the point of weapons is to be used. So I would say I got a good amount of use out of it. And it was very useful. This is about where progress will start to slow. I believe at the end of this turn, or maybe the next, reinforcements will start to come from enemy forts. And they don't stop. They don't stop for a while, especially on hard mode. Anyone who plays normal mode has it a lot easier concerning this. On hard mode they spawn for quite a few more turns. Not that they're particularly difficult to deal with, they're just fighters. I believe Rutger in a bush actually has full avoid against all the reinforcements that come after these mercenaries. So they still go for him because they do the most damage to him compared to anyone else, but they literally couldn't hit him, which was nice. You don't typically get good spots to be in with your weaker units, with your less bulky units. Honestly, these mercenaries are some of the most annoying parts of the whole map. The fighters that come later, there's definitely more of them, but they go down easily. Whereas these mercenaries are fast, so they don't get doubled, they're bulky, and because they have swords they have good hit. And Lancers don't have the best hit, as you see there with Lance missing his lance. Kind of annoying thing about the AI in this game is that they'll all go after the one unit they do the most damage to, and because they almost all have similar stats, the unit they can do the most damage to is almost always the same unit. So you end up with a choke point made. You see here I've got I've got Bors, Marcus, and Lance in a line, but they're only going to go for Lance unless they literally can't. Which is a bit unfortunate, because if they went for Marcus or Bors, we'd be done a bit quicker, but it's not to be. It's not to be. And this is actually taking a bit of a beating from this mercenary here. He's really not that bulky. I will be giving him an angelic robe soon, but as of right now, he's not that bulky. His defense is okay, but his HP is quite low. So I have to take a turn off with him to heal and replace him with Rutger. You see just how tough these mercenaries are. Marcus, I don't think Marcus would even 3-hit KO them. Possibly. And they're very, very strong. So this is where we're going to be for a few turns to come. You can see the bandits are already starting to make their way over, and there will just be more. They'll just continue. Level up for Rutger. HP, skill, def. That's fine. Defense is good on a unit that's going to see a lot of combat. He's not frail, but he's not the strongest by any means, so that defense is nice. Any chip damage I can do is appreciated on those mercenaries, because they are so strong. They're rather so bulky, they're not necessarily that strong. I elect to just heal here with Rutger instead of attack that mercenary, because if he got hit in return and then got hit on the following enemy phase, he would probably die. And here I swap spots. I swap Bors for Lance, because the mercenaries are pretty much gone and the bandits are the majority of what we have left, and Bors has weapon triangle disadvantage against them. He actually takes, despite his defense, a lot of damage from these guys. There's one axe, steel axe user in particular, that at one point ended my run because he did 8 damage to Bors, which sounds like a small amount, but considering it's Bors, the man who has about 13 defense, yeah, 8 damage is a lot, and it killed him. So that run went down the drain. And that's the thing about axe users in this game. They tend to be very, very strong. They tend to have very high strength, but they also tend to not have any accuracy or speed or basically any other stat. They dump it all in their attack, which is a little bit annoying when you're on the receiving end of like 15 of them, like I am here. Because all it takes is one of them to cripple whoever they're fighting against. And you see there, Rutger almost one-rounds these guys. It's very unfortunate that he doesn't. We'd be done a lot quicker if he did, because they do all go for him. As you see here, they're just they're lining up to do any damage they can to him. Now here Wolt's going to be useful and not kill. And again, because Rutger's weak, I'm going to elect to heal instead of attack that mercenary and try to kill him. You can consider that a kill steal with Marcus. I could have tried to use a hand axe, I guess. Not much point. Hand axes have such little hit. I could have tried it, I suppose. So you see there, I'm just a few strength or a few might short of killing these guys in one round. Very unfortunate. I suppose on the bright side, it makes them weaker for other units to kill. But I actually can't move forward from this position without pulling that nomad that you see just chilling down there. Which is why I haven't elected to move forward at all. Finally that mercenary dies. Wolt missed his opportunity to kill him twice, but luckily Rutger finally does it. And that means we can start to just thin the horde, the endless horde of bandits here. You see they do die pretty easily, they're not threatening. Their hit rates are god awful. They get doubled by almost everybody in my army. It's just the fact that there's so many of them. It's a trend with hard mode in this game for it to have a lot of reinforcements. Miladi's had a chance to die there, actually. I didn't notice it, but he's not carrying anything particularly important, I don't think. If he is, then that's lucky that he didn't die. And if not, then whatever. But here I will move him back because I don't really want him fighting in the first place. I decided to let Roy have his time in the sun. I'm just debating over how much damage they do, because if he gets hit, you know, unluckily a few times, he's really going to suffer for it. I decided to take the shot with Wolt before I move Roy for the support bonus. And another really good level up from Wolt. Speed is important. Speed is really important. So yeah, I decided to move Lance down one, and then Roy into the bushes, so that Roy can take a few hits on the front lines, and he'll have the avoid bonus from the bush. Decent level up from Ward there, and a good hit from him as well. He didn't have too high a chance to do that. So thank you Wade, Ward, whatever. So this is what we're going to be doing for most of the rest of the video. Level up from Rutger here. He gets strength a surprising amount this map. I think he gets about 3 points of strength all up and no points of speed. So while it's nice for the Myrmidon to be getting strength, a little bit more speed would be appreciated as well. I really want him to get like 2 more points of speed, then I'd be happy. Don't get me wrong, strength is fine, but just a little bit more speed would be really good, because as you saw earlier this map, there's already some enemies that he can't double, that he would have been able to double if he was about 1 or 2 points of speed faster. So I've accidentally pulled this nomad. I didn't mean to, but that's okay, because the situation is mostly under control. Strength from Lance there, you know what, I'm completely okay with that. I decided to try to chip in with Boars, because there's nothing else for Boars to do. Level up from him, HP luck. Well done, Boars. That's a stellar level up right there. Fabulous. Yeah, the nomad, the lone nomad doesn't pose too much of a threat. Nice crit from Wolt there. That definitely helped free things up. Unfortunately, I can't move Marcus anywhere. I did have an earlier run where, in an attempt to kill that nomad quickly, I moved Marcus into a group of God knows how many enemies, and he ended up dying because he took a few too many unlucky hits in a row. So I've learned from my mistakes, and I'm just going to stay put. I'm just going to leave my units in the defensive formation. Most of these bandits are going to go for Rutger anyway. Anyone that can hit Rutger will try to. See there, that's four in a row that go for Rutger. Sorry. I don't even know why I tried that, to be honest. Such a low % chance of that actually being successful. I guess I just wanted the kill on the Nomad. Nomads scare me. I don't like how much range they have, and it's very easy to lose track of how much damage they do, and how much range they have, and have them just hit a unit that's weak in the back lines. Another crit from Wolt there, very nice. I don't think that one was necessary, but whatever. Can almost get the kill with Lance with an Iron Sword, which would actually have some accuracy to it, but unfortunately I cannot. If he was using the Lance, he'd be able to, but the hit rates there are so bad. It's almost not worth trying. Looks like I can weaken this bandit up just enough for Roy to get a kill. And I can slowly start to push the defensive line forward. Which had to happen sooner or later, considering that these guys all have ranged weapons and would just continuously throw them at me instead of actually fighting. Here I elect to heal with ward instead of attempt to attack that bandit. I imagine that the Nomad doubles ward and probably would have killed him from that amount of health. I like to heal with Lance as well, just because he's not the tankiest thing in the world. If the Nomad's going to go for him, and other units, as you see, are going to go for him, he's going to need some health. I think the reason these bandits are going for him is because he has a Lance equipped, because I was testing to see if it would kill the Nomad. I believe that's the case. Either way, he doesn't get hit, because axes suck. And Rutger can reliably kill that Nomad. He had 2 shots. Would have been very disappointed if he didn't manage to do that. And that's the bulk of the bandits gone. There's just a few left, which means that the map itself is almost done. You see there, Wolt actually doubling something. I believe that's the first time that he's doubled something that's not a soldier, so very impressive. Well done, Wolt. It goes to show what those few extra points of speed he's got in this map do for you. It's really good. He's on his way to being a reliable damage source. Not quite yet, but almost. Here I'm just looking at those hit rates. I do that a lot with my axe users. They're so awful. You see, the enemies have about 20 and I have about 30. Obviously I have the upper hand there, but not by much. Such a pathetic amount of hit. Axes really got done dirty in this game. I guess that's why they made them so goddamn good in FE7. Still, to his dying breath, this bandit will attempt to kill Rutger, and in doing so he will make himself completely surrounded by enemies. If anything, this bandit is ballsy, and I can respect that. But he's not particularly smart. Not particularly smart. And another crit from Wolt. I think that makes 3 this map, so he's gone ham. Not in the growth sense this time. Defense is nice, but he's already had his growths for this map. I really can't complain. Once he got that strength speed level up at the very start, yeah, he's already done his part basically. So there's just a few enemies left. Some of them are a little bit scary. I don't like the mages. Magic in general is just really scary to go against when the majority of your units have 0 to 3 resistance, if that. There's very few units I can use to safely bait these enemies into me either. Marcus is probably the best candidate because he has solid and balanced defenses, as well as enough speed to ensure that he doesn't get double. So I must have crossed some sort of threshold line for this mercenary to suddenly want to start a fight. I don't know exactly what I did to pull this guy, but it's fine because he's not especially scary. Steel Blade Mercenary. I mean, that'll do damage, but it's not going to be that fast. And it's not going to have that much hit on it either. I decided to leave Ward in range to pull that hand axe fighter with Rutger behind him to deal with him on the following turn, because I don't expect Ward to be able to hit anything. Boars really doesn't have much left to do this map. He can help with the Steel Blade Merc. But you see, he's weighed down so much that Marcus even doubles this guy, and Marcus hasn't consistently doubled since chapter 1. So this could have been dangerous if Rutger actually got hit there. Level up for him, by the way, extra strength and skill. So yeah, that's his final level up for the map. I think that makes 3 for 3 in terms of getting strength. Now we can clean up with Lance. So if Rutger got hit by that fighter, he might have been in danger of the mage. I'm not entirely sure, but I think he would have been fine. Here we get a kill with Roy, level up for him as well. HP, speed, luck, res. Really solid. My units are getting some really decent level ups this map. I think I said that already earlier, but it's true. I've gotten a lot of speed and a lot of strength, and not a whole lot of crappy plus HPs. So I'm really happy about that. I'm gonna move Ward away because he will probably get annihilated by that mage. Same thing with Boars. And we're just gonna pull that fighter with Marcus because there's no way Marcus is dying to a fighter. It's just not gonna happen. You see how deadly those mages are. I believe at this point Lance has 1 point of resistance. So yeah, that did a whole lot of damage to Rutger as well. Good thing Rutger kills pretty solidly, pretty easily. Marcus is back to not doubling, and this bandit actually required quite a few units to take him down this turn. I didn't check what his speed was, but he must have been pretty fast because he wasn't getting doubled, and it took the combined efforts of 4 units to kill him. So maybe he was the most scary enemy from that entire group. But they're all dead now, and all that leaves is the boss. This boss is, or rather would be, very scary if not for one fatal flaw, in that he has a hand axe as well as the killer axe. You saw there the weapons he had. So if he only had a killer axe, this boss would be terrifying. I hate bosses with killer weapons, and especially because of the bonuses they get from their forts. He would be incredibly painful to deal with. But luckily, because he has a hand axe, what I can do is I can always leave one of my units in his range on enemy phase to ensure that he will attack them with the hand axe, which will mean that that's what he'll have equipped on player phase. So I can sort of manipulate that to make sure that whenever I fight him, he only has a hand axe equipped and not a killer axe, so I don't get crit in the face and die. So you see here we're starting with that. I decided to turn on animations just for the boss, because it's the boss. Slightly more special than all the other goons we've fought this chapter. Rutger does a solid job against this boss, but I decided to let him heal for a turn instead of fighting straight away. There I was just checking to make sure that Lance could rescue Marcus out of the way, and I decided to use the Killing Edge because I want the chapter to end quickly, I guess. It's really the only reason. I didn't need to use the Killing Edge here, honestly. He's not a threat. But that's just how it is sometimes. And I decided to leave Wolt in the boss's range pretty much at all times. Because Wolt actually, surprisingly, doesn't get destroyed by this guy. He doesn't really do any damage in return, but he doesn't die that badly. The hit rate is poor, even if the damage is high. And that will keep the boss continuously using his hand axe. There I do the smart thing and use Wade to not rescue, drop Marcus so that Lance would be able to rescue Rutger at the end of this turn. And you see, this boss really isn't a threat. Out of all the bosses we've faced so far, this guy's probably the second easiest. Next to the Chapter 3 Armor Knight who died in one turn. There I'm just leaving Roy next to Wolt to give him even higher support bonuses, if that's how it works in this game. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. I just sort of do stuff like that because I want to. You may as well, why not? I don't know the exact mechanics, but can't hurt. So I have a pretty solid setup here. I decided to give the Killer Lance to Rutger because Rutger's doing more damage to the boss anyway. I may as well just use him to try and kill. And here he'll be able to get the kill even without a crit, so long as he hits both hits, which he does. And there goes the bandit boss, Dory. Go back to finding Niime. Level up for Rutger. HP, solid, brilliant. That's exactly how I want to end a map. So that's the end of the chapter. Thanks for watching.